Most people don't struggle with money because they're careless or bad at it. They struggle because no one ever showed them a clear system that actually fits real life. If money feels confusing, stressful, or fragile, like one wrong decision could undo everything, this video is here to slow that feeling down. We're going to walk through a simple, practical way to think about money that reduces pressure instead of adding to it. You'll learn how to see your finances more clearly, organize them with intention, and make decisions that feel calmer and more confident over time. There's no hype, no complicated formulas, and no expectation that you get everything right immediately. It's just a straightforward framework designed to help you regain control, build stability, and move forward at a pace that actually lasts. Before we talk about money systems, investing, or long-term plans, I want to slow everything down for a moment. If you're watching this right now, there's a good chance money feels heavy to you. Maybe confusing, maybe stressful, maybe you feel like you should understand it better by now, but you don't. Or maybe you understand parts of it, but it still feels fragile, like one wrong decision could knock everything over. If any of that sounds familiar, nothing is wrong with you. You are not bad at money. You are not late. And you are definitely not alone. Most people don't fail with money because they're irresponsible. They fail because they were never given a simple system they could actually live with. They were given fragments. Save more. Invest early. Don't use credit cards. Buy assets. Avoid debt. These are not bad ideas, but without structure, they feel like noise. What you need is not more tips. You need one clear system that works whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, or your 40s, whether you earn a little or a lot, and whether you're starting from zero or rebuilding. So in this video, we're going to build exactly that. One personal finance system. Not a hack, not a shortcut, not a promise of fast wealth, just a calm, reliable way to manage money that reduces anxiety and increases control over time. We'll move slowly, one idea at a time. I'll explain the concept, give you a simple example, then reframe it in a way that makes it easier to live with. If at any point your mind starts to wander, that's okay. Just come back. This is designed to feel like a conversation, not a lecture. Let's start with the foundation, because every financial system rests on one thing, and it's not income, and it's not investing. It's awareness. Most people think they have a money problem when they actually have an awareness problem. Money flows in, money flows out, but they don't really see it. They check their bank balance occasionally. They feel stress at certain times of the month. They vaguely know they should be saving more, but they don't have a clear picture of what's actually happening. Without awareness, every financial decision feels emotional, and emotional decisions are exhausting. The concept here is simple. You cannot manage what you do not see clearly. Awareness is not about judging yourself. It's not about cutting everything you enjoy. It's simply about knowing where your money goes. Imagine two people who earn the same amount. One of them tracks their spending loosely, not obsessively, just enough to know the big categories. The other doesn't track at all. At the end of the month, the first person feels relatively calm, even if money is tight. The second person feels anxious, even if they technically have enough. The difference is not discipline. It's visibility. Here's the reframe. Awareness is not control. Awareness is relief. The moment you clearly see your money, a large part of the anxiety disappears, even before you change anything. So the first part of this system is not budgeting. It's simply awareness. Knowing, roughly, what comes in, what goes out, and where the big leaks are. Once awareness is in place, the next concept becomes possible: separation. Most people treat all their money as one pile. Income comes in, bills come out, spending happens, savings maybe happen if there's something left. This creates constant internal conflict. Every purchase feels like it's competing with your future. Every unexpected expense feels like a crisis. The concept of separation is about giving each job its own space. Instead of one pile of money, you create simple mental or actual categories. Money for living, money for future you, money for short-term enjoyment, money for emergencies. When money has a job, decisions become easier. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine you get paid, and all the money sits in one account. You want to buy something small, but part of you wonders if that money should go to savings instead. You hesitate. You feel guilty. Now imagine that same amount of money, but you already know that a specific portion is designated for spending. When you spend from that portion, there's no guilt. You're not stealing from your future. You're using money exactly as intended. The reframe here is powerful. Separation doesn't limit you. It frees you. When money is separated, you don't have to constantly negotiate with yourself. You just follow the system. Now let's talk about the core structure of this system. It has three main layers, and everything else fits inside them. Stability, flexibility, and growth. We'll take them one at a time. Stability comes first, always. Stability is about making sure your basic life functions without constant stress. This includes your essential expenses and your emergency buffer. Many people skip this and rush straight to investing or side hustles, and that's why their financial life feels unstable. The concept of stability is about building a floor before you build higher levels. If the floor is shaky, everything above it feels risky. Think about someone who invests aggressively but has no emergency savings. One unexpected expense forces them to sell investments at a bad time or take on debt. The investments weren't the problem. The missing floor was. The reframe is this. Stability is not boring. Stability is what allows you to take smart risks later without panic. A calm financial base is a competitive advantage. Within stability, the first element is covering your essentials. Essentials are the expenses that keep your life functioning. Housing, basic food, transportation, utilities, minimum debt payments, basic insurance, if applicable. Not luxuries, not upgrades, just the baseline. The key idea here is not to eliminate enjoyment, but to know the minimum cost of your life. Once you know that number, money becomes less abstract. You know what survival costs. Everything above that is choice. Imagine you know that your essential expenses are, say, a certain amount per month. That number becomes grounding. If you earn more than that, you know you have room. If you earn less, you know exactly how much needs attention. Uncertainty shrinks. The reframe is simple. Knowing your essentials is not restrictive. It's empowering. It tells you what you truly need to be okay. The second part of stability is your emergency buffer. This is one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal finance, mostly because it's framed as a rule instead of a tool. You'll hear numbers like 3 months, 6 months, a year. These numbers scare people and make the whole idea feel impossible. The real concept is much simpler. An emergency buffer is money that protects you from turning problems into disasters. That's it. Let's use an example. Your car breaks down. Without a buffer, this becomes a chain reaction. Stress, maybe debt, maybe missed payments, maybe anxiety that lingers for months. With even a small buffer, it's just a problem. Annoying, but contained. The reframe is this. Your emergency buffer is not an investment. It's insurance for your peace of mind. It doesn't need to be perfect to be useful. Even a small buffer changes how you experience life. Once stability is in place, we move to the second layer, flexibility. Flexibility is about living your life without constant guilt or fear. This is where most people either overspend or over-restrict because they don't have a system. The concept of flexibility is allowing yourself controlled enjoyment. Money is not only for survival or the distant future. It's also for living now, within reason. Imagine two people again. One spends freely and hopes for the best. The other restricts everything and tells themselves they'll enjoy life later. Both approaches create problems. The first leads to chaos. The second leads to burnout. Flexibility is the middle path. You intentionally decide how much money is for present-day enjoyment, and you use it without guilt. The reframe is important. Enjoyment is not a failure of discipline. Enjoyment is part of a sustainable system. A system that ignores human nature eventually collapses. Flexibility also includes short-term goals, travel, learning, small upgrades to your life. When these are planned instead of impulsive, they don't compete with your future. They coexist with it. Now we arrive at the third layer, growth. Growth is where investing, skill building, and long-term planning live. This is the layer everyone wants to jump to first, but it only works well when the first two layers are stable. The concept of growth is delayed reward with intention. You are choosing to send some of today's resources to future you, knowing that future you will benefit. Let's be very clear here. Growth is not about chasing returns or comparing yourself to others. It's about consistency and time. Imagine two people. One tries to time the market, jumps in and out, reacts to news, and feels constant stress. The other invests steadily, boringly, over time, without drama. Decades later, the second person almost always wins, not because they were smarter, but because they stayed in the game. The reframe is this. Growth is not about being right. It's about being patient. Now let's zoom out and connect all three layers into one simple flow. Money comes in. First, stability is funded. Essentials are covered. The emergency buffer is slowly built and maintained. Next, flexibility is funded. You enjoy your life within clear boundaries. Finally, growth is funded. You invest in your future in a calm, consistent way. What makes this a system is not the exact percentages. Those can change with age, income, and life circumstances. What matters is the order. Stability first, flexibility second, growth third. If you're in your 20s, this system helps you avoid chaos while still enjoying life. If you're in your 30s, it helps you balance responsibilities with progress. If you're in your 40s, it helps you stabilize, catch up if needed, and reduce anxiety about the future. Now let's talk about one of the biggest emotional obstacles in personal finance: comparison. Comparison quietly destroys good systems. You look at what others are doing, earning, investing, buying, and suddenly your own plan feels inadequate. This is especially dangerous now when you're constantly exposed to highlights and extreme stories. The concept here is that money is contextual. Your system must fit your life, not someone else's highlight reel. Imagine someone who earns twice as much as you, but has higher fixed expenses and more stress. On the surface, they look ahead. In reality, they may be more fragile. The reframe is grounding. Financial success is not how impressive your numbers look. It's how resilient your life feels. Another critical concept is time horizons. Many people mix short-term and long-term thinking, which creates confusion. Short-term money is for stability and flexibility. Long-term money is for growth. When you mix them, you get panic. You invest money you might need soon, then panic when markets move. Or you keep all your money liquid and miss long-term growth. The example is simple. If you know you'll need money within a year or two, it doesn't belong in volatile investments. If money is for decades later, it can tolerate ups and downs. The reframe is this: the purpose of money determines where it lives, not your emotions, not market noise. Now let's address debt, because it carries a lot of emotional weight. Debt itself is not a moral failure. It's a tool that can be used poorly or carefully. The problem arises when debt creates fragility. The concept to focus on is not eliminating all debt immediately, but reducing the kind of debt that steals your flexibility and peace of mind. High-interest, consumer debt tends to do the most damage because it compounds against you. It eats future options. Low-interest, structured debt can sometimes be neutral or even useful, depending on context. The reframe is calm. Debt is a variable, not an identity. You deal with it strategically, without shame. As we approach the later part of this system, let's talk about automation, because willpower is unreliable. The concept is simple. The less you have to decide repeatedly, the more consistent you'll be. If saving or investing only happens when you remember or feel motivated, it will be inconsistent. If it happens automatically, it becomes part of your environment. Imagine brushing your teeth. You don't debate it every day. It's automatic. Money systems work best the same way. The reframe is this: automation is not laziness. It's intelligence. You design the system once, then let it run. Another important idea is adaptability. Life changes. Income changes. Responsibilities change. A good system is not rigid. The concept here is reviewing, not reacting. Periodically, you step back, look at the system, and adjust calmly. The example is someone whose income increases. Instead of upgrading everything immediately, they intentionally decide how much goes to stability, flexibility, and growth. The reframe is empowering. You are not locked into one version of your life. The system evolves with you. Now let's talk directly to the feeling of being late, because many people in their 30s or 40s feel this deeply. The concept to understand is that progress is not linear, and starting points vary. Someone who starts investing later but consistently can still build meaningful security. Someone who starts early but stops repeatedly may not. The example is two timelines. One looks impressive early but stalls. The other starts quietly and compounds steadily. The reframe is hopeful but realistic. The best time to build a calm system is always now. Regret doesn't fund the future. Action does. As we move toward the end of this narration, I want to bring everything back to the emotional core. The goal of this personal finance system is not wealth for its own sake. It's not status. It's not comparison. It's reducing financial anxiety and increasing optionality. Optionality means having choices. Choices about work. Choices about time. Choices about how you respond to life's surprises. A system that gives you more options over time is a good system, even if it's slow, even if it's boring, even if no one else notices. So let's summarize the system, not as steps, but as a mindset. You start by seeing your money clearly, without judgment. You separate it by purpose so decisions become easier. You build stability first so life stops feeling fragile. You allow flexibility so the system is livable. You invest in growth patiently so future you benefits. You automate where possible. You review occasionally. You ignore noise. You adjust as life changes. And most importantly, you stop expecting money to fix your emotions overnight. Money is a tool, a powerful one, but still a tool. Used well, it supports a calmer life. Used without structure, it amplifies stress. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's this. You do not need dozens of strategies. You do not need perfect timing. You do not need to become someone else. You need one system you understand, trust, and can stick with when life gets busy or emotional. That's how real financial progress is built. Quietly, slowly, intentionally. And if you're still here, listening, that already tells me something important. You care enough to learn. And that matters more than where you're starting from. The most important thing to take away from this is that progress with money doesn't come from doing everything at once or doing it perfectly. It comes from having a clear system you can return to, even when life gets busy or emotional. When you understand where your money is going, give it clear roles, and focus on stability before growth, decisions become calmer and more intentional over time. This isn't about quick wins or drastic changes, but about building something steady that supports your life instead of adding stress to it. If this way of thinking about money was helpful, you can subscribe to the channel for more videos that build on these ideas and explore personal finance in a clear, realistic way.